Okay guys, so these are the meats that I have defrosting overnight on the sink. Here we have split chicken breasts. These have the skin and the bone. I got them for a great price, 77 cents a pound. I got 6.67 pounds of it, and it cost me $5.14. This was a great deal. If you guys can find chicken breast that's on sale, snatch it as soon as you see it. Chicken breast should be a staple in your healthy diet, whether you're trying to build muscle or lose weight. Very important. And here we have 85.15 of ground beef. I got it for $4.49 a pound. I got 2.28 pounds of it for $10.24. Obviously ground beef is going to be a little bit more expensive, but that's fine because I do enjoy eating ground beef, and I'm going to try to drain as much fat as possible to make it as healthy as possible. Okay guys, so first thing that we're gonna cook is the chicken breast. We're gonna bake it in the oven at 375, but first we need to apply the seasonings. So the three seasonings that I like to use are these three right here. This one, I don't have the container of it, but I do have the chicken flavor version of it, and it's this one. Focus. It's the Knorr Caldo con sabor de pollo chicken flavor bouillon, but the one I'm using says tomato flavor bouillon. So if you guys haven't used both of these seasonings, they're both very good, so you guys should definitely try them. And then we have black pepper and garlic powder. And those are pretty much the three basic seasonings that I like to use whenever I'm seasoning chicken, beef, pork. They're very good when you put them all together. Okay, so let me go ahead and get a little closer so you guys can see a little better. Okay, so first I like to start off with the tomato bouillon, and this is a lot of chicken, so I'm probably going to use about a whole spoonful and a half of this seasoning. Just need to make sure that it coats the whole chicken. And then a generous sprinkle of pepper. And finally, garlic powder. I like a lot of garlic powder on mine. Okay, and now start seasoning with your hands. Make sure to get the whole chicken covered, even underneath the skin here. I like applying the seasoning because we're not going to be eating the skin at the end. We're going to be taking that off for obviously health reasons. So you're going to want the meat to be seasoned, not just the skin. Okay. Just get everything through. Start getting the other breast. Split the skin in between the meat so you can get the seasoning through. Start massaging it all over. And this is very basic, guys. Anyone can do it. This whole cooking for health, it's very simple. All you have to know is pretty much the basics. People like to make it complicated. It's really not. All you have to do is figure out what you like to eat, and that's pretty much it. And the good thing about this whole cooking ordeal is that you get to experiment with other types of flavors. You get to experience with seasonings, with different types of foods, and not to mention the cost. You know, cooking healthy is definitely much more affordable than going out or having your meals prepped somewhere else. Definitely much easier, much more convenient because you have everything on hand. Okay, so I think I have pretty much everything coated on there. Just make sure I don't miss any of the seasonings. Should get it all underneath the skin. Can be evenly seasoned. Okay, so I think that's pretty much good. Okay, and what I like to do also is I like to weigh every single individual breast, see which one weighs the most, because I think it's this one right here. That's the one that I'm gonna insert the probe thermometer. The secret, guys, to cooking a perfectly cooked chicken breast is a probe thermometer. So if you guys don't have one, you guys should definitely invest in one, because there's nothing worse than dry, overcooked chicken. Okay, so let me go ahead and wash my hands and I'll insert the probe thermometer right now. Okay. So this one, the brand is Thermo Pro. It's a very good thermometer. Okay, so like I said, I'm gonna insert it on the heaviest or thickest chicken breast. Apply it all the way to the center, but not touching the bone. And the best way to figure out what the closest part is from the inside is just checking the thermometer, check what the coldest part is. So right now it's at 54. Okay, so I'm gonna set the thermometer to I'm gonna set it to 157 instead of 165, and the reason for that is because 165 is the safe temperature for you to eat chicken and poultry. But the thing is that if I was to set it at 165, once I take the chicken out, it's probably gonna raise its temperature, the internal temperature, by 5 to 10 degrees. So the end temperature is gonna be at like 170, 175, which for me is gonna be overcooked. So the way I'm gonna set it is at 157. That way, let's see if this is focusing. By the time I finish taking the chicken out and it's finished resting, it's gonna be at 165, which is perfectly cooked. Okay, so now that we have the probe thermometer in, we have the oven preheated at 375. We put it inside. Okay, so there we go. All you have to do is just wait for the probe thermometer to alert you that it's at 157, and we'll be done, guys. Now let's get to cooking the ground beef. Okay, now to cooking the ground beef. I have a pan here that I have preheating for about 2 to 3 minutes on high. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the ground beef. It is about 2 1/4 pounds of 85/15 lean ground beef. And you want to hear the sizzle once you add it. There you go. That's what you want to hear. The reason why you want to hear that sizzle is because that means that the meat is browning, which is adding another layer of flavor to the ground beef instead of just boiling the ground beef. So that's what you want to constantly be hearing. That's why I preheated it for 2 to 3 minutes on high. And I didn't add any oil because this meat is kind of in the middle of fattiness. It's 85/15. So it will disperse a generous amount of fat. So you don't really need to add any additional fat to it. Okay, so just let that brown for a little bit. In maybe a minute or two, I'll flip it over and you'll see the brown bits. That's what adds a little bit more flavor to the ground beef dish. Okay, so that's when I turn it over. You get a little closer so you guys can see. So as you can see here, the brown bits, they add flavor to it. See all that brown bit. That's what you want. Look at that. All that brown. That means a good sear. And you always want a good sear whenever you're cooking, specifically beef. So now we can go ahead and spread it around now. I still have the stove top on high. Just start breaking it down now. And I'm not gonna apply the seasonings right now. I'm gonna apply the seasonings after I finish draining the fat off of it. And the reason for that is because if I was to apply the seasonings right now, the seasonings are gonna drain along with the fat right now when I strain it. So there's really no point in me seasoning because I'm going to lose about half of the seasonings after I drain it. So I'm going to season the ground beef after I finish draining the fat off of it. And it's very important to start breaking up the ground beef once it's about half cooked. And the reason for that is because if you don't do this, if you start breaking it up once the ground beef is cooked, you'll end up with really hard, tough ground beef bits, which aren't very nice. They're like really tough meatballs. So important to do it during the middle of the process. That way you get evenly cooked ground beef and you don't get really tough, big bits of ground beef. Just start breaking it up. This is definitely an arm workout, guys. I just finished working out about an hour ago, but it seems like my workout's still going. Triceps are definitely getting a good workout from this. Start breaking everything up. Chicken's at 73 degrees, so I estimate about another hour for that to be cooked. But this takes very quick. It's very quick to cook the ground beef. Very simple. And it's actually fun when you're doing this, guys. When you're cooking, I mean, for me, it's therapeutic. The dumb misconception that guys aren't supposed to cook, I've always found it really stupid. Because it shows a level of maturity when you are able to cook. I mean, the fact that you're supposed to depend on your girlfriend, wife, or whatever, spouse, to cook for you is pretty dumb. So get to cooking, guys. Get to experimenting. You'll definitely find it very fun and therapeutic for me. Start breaking it up. So now I can start lowering the heat. I put it on medium heat. I'm going to finish draining it off right now. So by the time I put it back on the stove top, it'll just be simmering a little bit. Okay guys, so I'm going to strain off the ground beef. I have a big bowl on the bottom and then my strainer. Start pouring the ground beef on top of the strainer. All the fat, all the little bits. Put it back on the stove top. And then just start pushing down. Try to extract as much fat as possible, but also make sure to put a little bit in there because it's gonna, the fat does equal flavor. So, I mean, I know we're trying to eat as healthy as possible here, but we're also trying to enjoy our food. Okay, so I think that's good. Then just put the ground beef back on the stove. As you can see, all this unwanted fat. We're not eating any of that, which is good. Okay, now that we have it on top of the stove top, we start applying our seasonings. The 3 basic seasonings that I use for the chicken breast again. We're going to use probably half a spoonful, maybe a little bit more, a tad bit more. Generous amount of black pepper, some garlic powder, and just start stirring it up. Lower the heat a little bit. You can actually turn off the heat already. The remaining heat on the pan will help toast a little bit more of the ground beef and help the season to penetrate into the ground beef. You can also add tomato sauce, so it can be kind of like a sloppy Joe mixture. But I'm trying to cut out as much carbs as I can because I am trying to lose weight here. I'm trying to be between 1,500 to 2,000 calories every day with high protein, low carbs, low fat. But if you have other weight loss goals, you can, like I said, add a little bit of tomato sauce so it can be sort of like a sloppy Joe mixture. And just simmer that for another 45 minutes to an hour so the ground beef can be nice and tender. And I'd say this is pretty much done, guys. So we have our ground beef cooked, ready to be put on our meal prep trays. I'm just gonna let this rest for a little bit. This is how I like to set up my meal prep trays, by weighing them. I weigh exactly 2 ounces of vegetables and 2 ounces of my other source of carbs. Today I'm using sweet potato. And for the ground beef meal prep tray, I like to use 6 ounces. 6 ounces of every single meat. So just start filling it up until it says 6 ounces here. Again, I'm on a high protein, low carb, low fat diet. So just a little bit more. And there we go, 6 ounces. So that meal prep for our ground beef is ready. Okay, so this is the chicken breast after it's been baked in the oven at 375. Look at how beautiful it looks. Skin's nice and crispy, hardly any fat came out. Chicken breast still retained its juice. It's going to be very moist, and look at the meat thermometer. I've had it resting for about 5 minutes and it's perfectly cooked at 165. That's why I told you guys earlier to set the temperature a little bit under 165, so by the time it's finished resting and it keeps continuing to cook, it'll be perfectly cooked. So we're gonna let this rest for a little bit so I can start shredding it and start putting in our meal prep trays. I'm probably gonna add a little bit of the skin. I said earlier that we're not gonna add the skin, but I'm only gonna add the crispy bits just because the skin has a lot of flavor. So see you guys in a bit. Okay, so now that the chicken is shredded, I already have 2 ounces of baby broccoli and 2 ounces of russet potato. Now I just have to measure out 6 ounces of chicken breast. This chicken's really moist, guys. Again, the secret of cooking a perfectly cooked chicken is a meat thermometer. Make sure you get it. So I added a little bit too much. There we go, 6 ounces. Perfect. And we are done, guys. Look at all these meal prep trays. I'm gonna have a lot of food for a couple days. So the chicken breast ended up filling up 9 meal prep trays at 6 ounces of chicken in each one, which yields to about 3.5 pounds of chicken. And then the ground beef gave us 3 meal prep trays, 6 ounces each, which yields to about 1 pound of ground beef. So this is pretty much it, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys have any comments. I'm gonna put the calories and the macros for the chicken breast prep trays and the ground beef meal prep trays. Thanks for watching, guys.